I didn't know that. I thought I had to do everything myself. It's kind of how I grew up, like I felt like I had to be my sister's protector. I had to, protect myself. I had to survive a really hard survival situation, traumatic situation. And I had to do all of that by myself. So of course, reaching for help never really worked when I was growing up. So, yeah, I mean, in fact, it worked the opposite. Anytime I reached for help, shit got worse. So, hi, I'm James Kerr. I'm a tattoo artist, musician, and a trauma survivor. Been on this healing journey for a long time now, and it's led me here talking to you. I enjoy talking about heavy stuff like life, death, spirituality, trauma, and ways to cope with trauma. But it's not all serious. I like to joke a lot, too. Welcome to the Fire of Truth podcast. Right. Well, I'm in my new space. Things are changing here at the Kerr household, and I needed to move out of my studio, and now I'm moving my stuff into my wife's old office space, and so we'll be continuing the podcast here. This episode is actually being recorded after all of the other ones, except for the season finale, so you're going to see this studio, and then we're going to go back to the old space in the next episode. So that's cool. But one of the things, the main takeaway that really struck me that I wanted to talk about in my conversation with Dre was when I owned a shop. And during those days, I was definitely a full-blown alcoholic, and I drank every night, and I would almost wanted to say every day, but I did work during the day, pretty much hungover all the time, and that is different now, and I'm pretty grateful for that I'm not drinking anymore, and that's a really good thing for me. It really got really bad, and the whole relationship that I had with the people that worked with me was, I don't want to say trauma bonding, but I guess in a way that's kind of what happened with some of them there. And the fact that I was willing to let go of certain things that were fireable offenses and not other things, it was kind of weird, kind of a weird takeaway for me. It definitely gave me that outside perspective on how I acted there too, That shop was really I had not owned a business before, let alone a tattoo shop. So that was really my first exposure with to having a business, especially having a business with other people that work there, And then, so it was a really hard transition for me, really, to go from being the apprentice to being the owner. It seemed like overnight, but it really wasn't. It took a little while. And I'm sure it was a really hard transition for other people that worked there too, 1 minute, and they had way less time to adapt to even the idea than I did. Because I was actually told to not tell anyone that I was buying the shop. So until it was kind of too late, and then they couldn't even really make that adjustment. So it's weird. What I think what happened to me there was one of having an idea of what being the boss was supposed to be, and then reaching for that as opposed to just being myself and trying to organically grow into this leadership role that I was not prepared for. Yeah. And I made a lot of mistakes, and but we also had a lot of good times too. So that was good to hear too. It was the story about all the dancing we did, spontaneously. Still do that. I think I've embarrassed my kid enough in the grocery store doing that. When someone would come on over the Safeway speakers and I'd start dancing, he'd definitely be like, Actually, when he was younger, he would dance with me too. So that's a good thing. Hi, this is James. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a huge favor and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, you could rate it, you could review it, share it with a friend as well. That would help me out a lot. Either way, thank you very much. What really was happening too was the fact that I was feeling successful and I didn't know what to do with that ultimately. As I had been raised with don't be afraid to fail. I was aware of the fear of failure, but I wasn't really aware of the fear of success. And I think part of that story was me coping with that, trying not to sabotage what I had, while at the same time not allowing other people to help me with it. I didn't know that. I thought I had to do everything myself. It's kind of how I grew up, I felt like I had to be my sister's protector. I had to, protect myself. I had to survive a really hard survival situation, traumatic situation. And I had to do all of that by myself. So of course, reaching for help never really worked when I was growing up. So, in fact, it worked the opposite. Anytime I reached for help, shit got worse. So I kind of had that working against me. And so when I was in this place where I was finding some financial success and the success of doing something that I loved and making money at it, that was uncharted territory for me, and not even talked about or heard of in my family dynamic growing up. So I had some power and I didn't know what to do with it. And, the way that shop ended was really kind of a sad story too. And it starts with my mom getting diagnosed with cancer. And basically after a year of that, she got diagnosed in February of 2008. No, February of 2009, and then she passed away in July of 2009. So after that, literally 2 weeks later, my band ended, and then I held on to running that shop for about a year later, I think, before I ended up closing the doors because I just was not capable. My stress levels and my grief was so great, and my drinking got even worse. That there was just no way I could deal with that responsibility, and nor did I want it anymore. It was a lot of loss in a little amount of time. And it was a good thing. It ended up being a good thing because now I'm working at NorCal Tattoo with some of the best people I've ever worked with in this industry and I've ever known in my life, really. They were really good people, really good to me. Treat me like family, and I feel like family there when I work there, and that's awesome. And that shop's been around for a long time. So, but yeah, there's that part of me that kind of still wishes I could have done better with that shop that when I had it. And if I, that old saying, if I knew then what I know now, yeah, but also if I hadn't left, I wouldn't know now what I know now, so, it's really neat how these things play out. I'm really grateful that I'm still in touch with people that, I worked with back then, and every one of us have transformed our lives too. Went from being the party shop to kind of splitting up, and now we're all sober and doing way better in our lives. And it's good. It's good to know. It's good to see. And we, growing, we all grow at different paces. We all grow in different directions and at different paces. So I go through this thing now with this podcast and everything where I'm I kind of feel this repeating story in my head of it's too late for me to try new things, blah, blah, blah. But I remember saying that to myself when I picked up the guitar when I was 17, thinking it was too late for me to get good at it. And I got pretty good at it. Not the best, not by any means, but I got pretty damn good. I mean, good enough to like where that music took me on tours with some of my best friends, and I got to meet people all over the place, and I got to play music in different cities, and what an amazing experience that. And all from really not listening to the "It's Too Late for Me." I've been going through that a little bit now again, and I'm reminding myself by saying this on camera that it's not too late. I think all in all, I'm just very grateful that I had that experience, that I was able to apprentice at a tattoo shop at all, and then owning the shop that I apprenticed at, and then having that go on for like 7 years. That was a good experience for me, and I'm glad that I'm able to tell that story. So thank you so much for listening. See you on the next one.